Hello, my name is Jacek Kawałek. I am a computer science teacher at the Henryk Sienkiewicz School Complex in number 1 in Kolobrzeg. I would like to present a project that we implement in our school. The project is called Kolobrzeg 3D. We create animations, print models on 3D printers and transfer them to virtual reality. The history of Kolobrzeg was our inspiration. Kolobrzeg was destroyed and rebuilt many times, and during the Second World War it was one of the most damaged cities in the world. As you can see, the town hall and the basilica were in poor condition, but they were rebuilt. Other buildings were not so lucky. Some of them were so damaged that they had to be completely dismantled. There were also those that could be rebuilt, but this was not done. So today there are only a few historical monuments in Kolobrzeg. Our youth, having not contact with such monuments, was particularly not interested in a history of the city, and therefore we decided to change it. The beginnings were modest. As you can see, I started work with 3 students. We wanted to do the whole project in the form of animation. In 2016, we borrowed a 3D printer to be able to proceed with the implementation of our plans. In our project, we use the Blender program, which have great possibilities, is free and can run on various systems. In order to train a student well, it takes about 1 year to participate in the project. The first major project we realized was Wraki Kolobrzegu. There are 7 sunken ships around our city. In 2005, divers scanned the wreckage of one of them. After receiving this scan, we started to work. We divided the entire mesh into 27 elements. Blender has sculpt mode that allows to improve such a scan. Of course, we also find suitable drawings showing what this ship looked like in the original. Based on them, we create a virtual model in Blender. Then printed both the wreck and the original ship model. Based on the archaeological research, a picture was painted showing Kolobrzeg from the 15th century. On its basis, we decided to make our next project. As before, we divided the project into smaller elements. Each student was given one district to draw. So we had to adopt some system of correct object sizing. It turned out to be quite simple. We didn't change the scale in the program, but counted everything in memory. For example, if we want the house in the printout to be 5 cm high, then in Blender it should be 50 meters. Our only point of reference was the Basilica of Kolobrzeg, the dimensions of which are known. We have already approached this project more professionally, using the advice of experts. Before the actual painting, our models we covered with a car primer. We also learned how to present our mockups in attractive and effective way. The electronic used to highlight various houses or streets made it attract a lot of people. It was very important information for us. The next project we made was Budzistowo settlement, the oldest known buildings in Kolobrzeg. We also made it on the basis of a drawing based on archaeological research. During this project, we had to analyze a lot of historical materials and visit libraries and archives. As you can see, the number of projects started to increase rapidly. One was finished and the other was almost half done. With this next project, we wanted to show the history of Kolobrzeg town halls. Very often we had to draw models with only one drawing or description in book. About 20 and 30 people take part in each project. Artists are the largest group. This work is very laborious and requires great precision and patience. Then the time has come for our largest project. For the effect to be appropriate, the model consisted of 8 smaller ones. If we combined all our existing models into one, this one would be bigger. Here we were unable to project the map onto the wall with the projector to draw the entire mockup. This is why we made the full model virtual, measuring everything exactly in Blender. We had to learn all the names related to the construction of fortification. We mainly used the internet. As you can see, Kolobrzeg was a huge fortress and had very extensive network of fortification. It also have a variety of buildings. To implement this project, we invited an art school from Berlin-Pankow. We used resin to make the water look very natural. Here we used the help of experts. Work with the resin had to be done in masks. Due to this large size, we did not put in a display case, but put it on the floor. By adding suitable railing in the circle, a model made in this way has dimensions of 6 by 4 meters. Project was entirely done on a Blender. We could easily transfer it to virtual reality. It was our first project that we could fully view with 3D glasses. Our next project was the longest, and most of it was particularly the work of one student. It's the end result exceeded our wildest expectations. In 2016, as a student of mine, he started drawing this palace, as seen in the old version of Blender. He told me not to give it to anyone to draw, and that I would finish it. Then he drew him throughout his studies. He was one of the 3 students who started everything with me. As with the previous project, we also collaborate with a school from Berlin, with the difference that we did artwork at the school in Berlin. As before, in the search of accurate description related to architecture, the internet was useful. During the implementation of this project, the YouTube channel Architecture is a Good Idea was very helpful for us. Thanks to this, we learned that our basilica is the only firewire church in Poland. And our next project was related to the Basilica of Kolobrzeg. We wanted to present the history of Basilica in Kolobrzeg using 17 models. However, the pandemic did not allow us to do so. We create an animation, and it was it that made the interest in what we do ever more grow. Editing film outside of animation, we started to use drones more and more. To accurately locate the palace, on the back wall we have placed a photo of today's pier, which was taken from the drone. We often use 3D pens to finish details and decorations. For this purpose, we organize a separate training for our students. As you can see, such classes are often conducted by students. Coming back to the animation, I would like to point out that thanks to them, we managed to raise quite significant funds. So, we didn't limit ourselves to just creating mockups, but we went further by adding various special effects. Using special effects in our shows, we also learned about the 12 principles of animation that were created at Walt Disney Studio. The next element that we had to learn was typical film knowledge, film sets, camera management, etc. We obtained this effect of the recording from a drone flying in the 15th century Kolobrzeg by connecting the camera in the blender to the Bezier curve. And here is where the mathematics comes into play, so you had to know what curves are. The more difficult task is to animate the tank's caterpillar. It's not easy task, but students can handle to it. It took us almost 2 weeks to make these few seconds of animation, showing the lid being opened, the driveway descending, and the tank leaving. Driving around the present city, we recorded today's view of the city with a small sports camera. Then, using the capabilities of Blender, we create a kind of time travel. We compared the same places as they look today and as they looked in the 15th century. What's cool about Blender is that the animation can be used for 3D printing. It makes our work a lot easier. I'll explain how we printed this blue water. Making such an animation in Blender is really very simple. It is literally just a few clicks of the mouse. My student placed gears under the ships that turn. Then they stopped the animation in 250 frames of the film and printed on a 3D printer the 3D mesh that was created in that one frame of the film. Similarly, we can use animation and gravity for 3D printing, for example, creating clothes. We just wait for the material to collapse. We can bolt it and print it accordingly. We can also use this animation in more complex model. Additionally, we divide the model into smaller elements. We add active and passive properties to them and run the animation. Then we have to wait for all the stones to fall. As before, we only take one frame of the resulting animation for 3D printing. We do the same with human models using the bone system for animation. As I mentioned earlier, the use of electronics in our mockups made the appearance very attractive. When we see something like this, we can get a little scared. However, if we make accurate description, students can easily cope with even such a large number of wires. However, we start from the beginning by explaining how to calculate difference values so as not to burn the devices. So, for example, how to choose the power of the power simply for lighting using the appropriate number of LEDs. Be able to correctly connect and program the electronic system. Calculate and select RGB LEDs so that they shine in the settings we need. To teach the basic of electronics, I have a special set that has, among other things, a motion sensor or audio module. Each project has its own board with all the necessary information. Electronics plays a very important role in this project. In addition to lighting, motion sensor active an appropriate audio system that emits sound of the sea, gulls, people conversation, etc. By setting the appropriate sequence of RGB diodes lighting, we also enter programming. However, by transferring our projects to virtual reality, we are already entering more advanced programming elements. Before the mockups are handed over, we invite everyone to visit our school to see the project. We present ourselves at various festivals, outdoor events, and conferences. We also publish information about our project on both local and regional television. We try to make our students personally present what they are doing. We systematically post short videos on YouTube and on Facebook. Thanks to the information in the media, we have been noticed not only in origin, but also throughout Poland. We are trying to efficiently announce the end of each project. Ultimately, the mock-ups are placed in the properly exposed places. The gunboat went to the museum of the city of Kolobrzeg. The fortress from the 15th century is in the Museum of Polish Arms. The model of Budzistowo can be seen at our school. Historical town halls are of course in the City Town Hall in Kolobrzeg and in the Patria Kolbergensis Museum, which is located in the basement of the town hall. There are miniatures of them. In the Diocesan Museum, which is located in the tower of the Kolobrzeg Basilica, there is a port and fortification from the 19th century. The cursed palace was first exhibited at the Berlin Art School, later in the town hall of the Berlin-Pankow district, and now it is in the main hall of the Koszalin University of Technology. In the field of the 3D printing, we have been cooperating with the 3D Printing Center of the Koszalin University of Technology. In Poland, a lot of historical reconstructions are created, because there's often a very good way to present what has been destroyed. When I drive through a city and see such a drawing, I immediately imagine that somehow the school could successfully recreate it. I know that all you need is an idea and a little initiative, and the students will drive the project themselves. Thanks to this project, we also get what we wanted. So we are increasing the interest in the history of Kolobrzeg. Thank you for your attention.